Bitcoin versus Ethereum. It's like comparing gold to an iPhone. One just sits there shining. The other one has updates and crashes as you go. People keep asking, which is better? That's like asking, would you rather own a vault of gold bars or a magic computer that can host an army of meme coins? In the next few minutes, we'll break this down in simple terms. What each coin does, how they're different, and why the fight between Bitcoin and Ethereum shapes the future of money. And don't worry, we're going to be skipping all the boring tech jargon. There's no need to know what SHA-256 is or EIP 1559 to follow along. We'll be getting more into how Bitcoin just wants to be money and how Ethereum wants to be money, the bank, the casino, and the DJ at the after party. By the end of this video, not only will you be able to crush it and know the differences, you'll be able to take any of your friends in the Bitcoin versus Ethereum debate. So let's jump right into it. First, let's talk about Bitcoin in a nutshell. Bitcoin is the OG of crypto, born in 2009. It was the first digital currency to prove that money can exist without banks or governments. At its core, Bitcoin is basically digital gold. It's scarce. Only 21 million coins will exist. It's secure, and most of all, people can trust it because nobody can just print more. Let's break down how it works in simple terms. Every Bitcoin transaction gets recorded into the blockchain, which is basically a giant public ledger. Once it's there, it can't be changed. No undo button, no chargebacks, no oops. Miners, aka people with insane computers, keep the system running by verifying transactions and adding them to the chain. In return, they earn Bitcoin. So why do people care about this? First, it's decentralized, meaning no government or corporation owns it. Next, it's limited, and the scarcity makes it valuable. Furthermore, it's seen as a hedge against inflation, kind of like digital gold bars sitting in cyberspace. Bitcoin's idea of innovation is, what if money, but online? And honestly, it worked. But while Bitcoin is the king of money, Ethereum took things a step further. It said, why stop at money when you can build an entire empire of a financial system on the blockchain? So now let's dive into Ethereum. If Bitcoin is digital gold, then Ethereum is like digital Lego blocks, also sometimes referred to as digital oil. It doesn't just move money, it lets you build entire apps and systems on top of the blockchain. Ethereum launched in 2015 thanks to Vitalik Buterin, also known as the hoodie-wearing genius of the blockchain. The idea? Take the security of the blockchain and add programmability to it. And what is this programming? It's essentially called smart contracts. Let's explain that a bit further. Smart contracts are basically self-executing agreements. Think vending machine. You put in money, you get a drink. No cashier, no middleman, no arguments about getting correct change. On Ethereum, these smart contracts power everything from DeFi to NFTs. DeFi standing for decentralized finance. Think of these smart contracts like the vending machines of the internet, except these ones don't get jammed and don't eat your money. So why do people care about this? For one, it made the blockchain much more than just about money, where developers can create unstoppable applications. And that's why Ethereum isn't just currency, it's also gas, which is essentially the digital fuel for running these apps on the network. But of course, with all this flexibility, there comes a big question. How do these two giants really compare? So let's explain some of the key differences here. Okay, so Bitcoin is the OG digital gold, and Ethereum is the wild young cousin building applications. But how do they actually differ? You can think of Bitcoin as a store of value, an electronic peer-to-peer cash system, while Ethereum is a global, decentralized computer system for building these apps. Bitcoin is like saving money under your mattress, while Ethereum is like building the mattress, the bed frame, and the Airbnb that comes afterwards. Let's talk a bit about the supply. So Bitcoin's supply is 21 million coins. No more can ever be made, which gives it values like gold and the scarcity of it. Ethereum has no fixed cap, but it's now deflationary due to recent upgrades. These upgrades essentially burn Ethereum with transactions. Let's talk about the speed and the cost. So Bitcoin is a bit slower. It's about 7 transactions per second. So it is cheaper historically, and it's mainly used just to transfer value. While Ethereum is faster, but transactions cost gas fees. And these gas fees spike up pretty high at busy times on the network. Bitcoin is like sending a letter by mail, slow and steady. Ethereum is like Uber during surge pricing, sometimes $3, sometimes $100, but you're still stuck in traffic. Let's talk about the energy use. So Bitcoin uses a proof of work system, which is basically a system of computers competing against one another to solve puzzles. The winner adds the block, but it uses a ton of electricity to do it this way. Ethereum switched to a proof of stake in 2022, and this cut energy usage by about 99%. And in proof of stake, you basically lock up your coins to get picked as a validator. This is a much greener approach, but it favors the wealthy. Let's touch a bit on the community and the adoption. So Bitcoin, being referred to as digital gold, has big institutions, corporations, and governments buying it and essentially just holding it over time. While Ethereum is your developer's playground, used for DeFi, NFTs, gaming, and much more. So Bitcoin's kind of like your grandpa, hoarding his coins and keeping them, while Ethereum is kind of like your younger cousin, selling monkey pictures for high six figures. So which one's actually better? Spoiler alert, there's no simple answer to this. It's kind of like asking, is pizza better than a hamburger? Kind of just depends on your appetite and your stomach. And to reiterate, Bitcoin's strengths is that it's similar to digital gold. It's scarce, simple, and reliable. It's a safe, long-term bet for people trying to do a store of value. Plus, it has massive institutional adoption. While Ethereum's strengths are on building applications, it provides much more flexibility and is constantly evolving. And both of these matter very much in the crypto ecosystem. It's kind of like comparing Batman and Iron Man. Both rich, both powerful, but both fighting crime in different ways. So that's Bitcoin versus Ethereum in plain English. No PhD required, no crazy tech jargon, just money magic versus internet Legos. Which one's better? Honestly, it's like comparing tacos versus pizza. Why not just eat both and be happy? At the end of the day, one's trying to replace gold while the other is trying to take over the internet. And you can decide which flex sounds cooler. If you learned something today, please smash that like button below. It helps me way more than you think. Subscribe so you don't miss the next deep dive. And drop a comment below. Are you team Bitcoin or are you team Ethereum? And remember, this isn't financial advice. I'm not Satoshi, and I'm definitely not Vitalik, but I will keep breaking it down for you. Thanks for watching. Cheers.